This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown, we not trying to go for 3. And it's best if you get up out the street, cause them bulls out the pen and they about to stampede.
About how Saban created this system where you had a combination of man and zone. And then you talked about all of the different coaching that actually attributes to that. I want to know if you could go, I know you wrote in the article, but if you could kind of elaborate on the whole thing between Saban and the coaching staff on why you think that's what DeMeco is going to put in place in the defense.
Yeah, well, I mean, I talked to Dino Vasso about it, the cornerbacks coach with the Texans, and he was on that staff with Jim Schwartz in 2018, 2017, and he was there with Corey Unlin there, I believe, and Matt Burke was there for a year, and that's they did a lot of that whenever the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Talking to him, and then DeMeco Ryan said, whenever he was in San Francisco, Unlin was there, and that's the kind of stuff that they were able to use. Jimmy Ward, whenever he came in, and we talked to him at first in free agency, he was talking a lot about how him and the cornerbacks would be able to work together. It's very supportive from one side to the other. I'm talking to Corey Unlin about this, and specifically to Stingley. It's like if you're in a play, and in the early 90s, it was kind of simple. It was like within the first 12, 14 yards, you're playing man a zone, and then once they get to a certain spot, you buy or choose the man that would be placed in that situation. But over time, defensive minds have manipulated it, kind of like I was talking to somebody today relating it to offense about run-pass option schemes. You got to know who your keys are. You can talk about it in concept, but there's so many other ways that you could draw it up. It's all dependent on what are the options. Like, how do you split the field? Which is playing man, which is playing zone. Whenever the receiver enters a certain area, whose responsibility is where. Unlin said on a given play, Stingley can start here and end up in 12 different spots on the same play. Okay. And that's super important for all these defensive backs to be there now and to figure out, the combinations. All that Jimmy Ward already knows that. We haven't seen him in the last couple of days, and DeMeco Ryan says he's fine. So that's going to be a test to a lot of these defensive backs to be able to work in tandem with each other. And it's a lot different from a philosophy that Lovie Smith was working with, who, him and Tony Dungy back in the 90s invented Tampa 2. It's cover 2 situation. So that is a lot more dependent and giving the players the freedom to work and react to what they see. Now, that worked for a really long time and I'm talking to some people about this as the years have gone on. You're getting offenses that can exploit that. They can trick the mind of defensive backs, make them make the wrong choices. And there's support that you can get in other ways to account for routes that are making you choose the wrong thing. And like, for example, against the Broncos, there was I think it was about a 30, 40-yard pass to Cortland Sutton in front of Derick Stingley. And there was a slot receiver that took a route all the way down the middle, bisected the safeties. Both of them got attracted to it, and nobody was there to help out Stingley down the left side of the sideline because he only had up to this much. There's nobody there. So they reacted to what they saw in the middle, and then, there's trouble there. I think Lovie Smith would argue that they need to be able to react to that, understand that, but sometimes you can support them in different ways. So it's different philosophies. This is what DeMeco Ryan's favors. This is what we've seen work in different spots, and Stingley is recognizing this too. And it also involves the linebackers. I was talking to Christian Harris. We talked one-on-one together for a little bit yesterday, and he said it feels a lot like Alabama, and that makes sense because Saban invented what some of the concepts of which they're using.
You not really in touch if you not tuning in. This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown. We not trying to go for 3. And it's best if you get up out the street, cause them bulls out the pen and they bout to stampede.